Menopause can suck, but it doesn't have to. And no, this is not a story just for women of a certain age, because every female, if she lives long enough, will experience it. Millions of Canadian women are in it right now and will be for years. And yet, the subject is still so often taboo, and many suffer in silence. But we noticed a growing movement online and on the ground determined to empower women. Unlike this comedy show we found here tonight, it starts by dragging menopause out of the shadows and into the spotlight. Menopause, it's hot, it's flashy, and it's definitely having a moment. Erin Keeney is a realtor by day, occasional comic by night. Tonight's gig is a campy act of hormonal solidarity for the millions of Canadian women out there who may be sweating right now too.
Oh my God. I started sweating at 4 a.m. this morning.
I'm just kind of telling my story, and why should we be ashamed? Why is it such a secret and such a mystery? Right?
So, is anybody else hot in here?
Keeney's hot flashes, the fact she keeps having them, is a big part of her act. Because while menopause marks the day a woman hasn't had a period for 12 months, the transition before and after can last for years. And don't get Keeney started on the belly fat.
Your hormones are slowing down, and your body's making pillows for when you fall down.
Jokes aside, menopause is no laughing matter. This comedy show is part of a growing movement of women demanding to be heard and treated for a long list of symptoms many never saw coming.
The rage, it's real.
Vaginal dryness, irritability, insomnia, moodiness, chronic headaches, lack of focus.
Definitely a feeling of like insecurity as a woman.
A desire for sex, but oh man, it's not the same as it was. Absolutely, it's waking, and I was like, what is happening?
Samantha Montpetit-Huyn is a personal trainer who works virtually. When she started feeling the change herself, she started to tailor her workouts to menopausal women. The conversation that came with it opened the floodgates.
When you shifted your focus to menopause, what kind of reaction did you get?
Oh, everybody was like, thank God, where have you been?
Montpetit-Huyn is tapping into an enormous and exhausted market.
You know, if we think the majority of women are going through some stage of perimenopause and menopause by, let's say, mid-40s to mid-50s generally, they're managing their career and kids and a home and all of these things. A lot of women say to me, I feel like I'm going crazy. If anything, my business went through the roof because I was talking to these women and listening to them and giving them some support.
She's not the only one.
I'm 55 and I am a menopause chick.
The menopause community is exploding, especially online.
All of these things that can kind of creep in insidiously in perimenopause.
There are midlife influencers.
They've earned their stripes.
Celebrity wellness lines.
For today's Menopause Minute, I'm going to talk about how we diagnose.
And doctors informing and advocating for women's health.
There's often a lot of confusion about it.
There are some dubious claims out there too, promising quick fixes. But the flood of menopause solutions, good and bad, experts say, stems from a glaring lack of research and knowledge in the medical community.
How to advocate for yourself at your healthcare provider's office.
A blind spot rooted in the notion menopause is something women just have to endure.
I think what I find the hardest is that women feel that they should just suck it up. That every woman needs to bear this like a burden. And to me, that's just complete bunk. Why are we so behind on this area? It makes no sense.
That's right. Trish Barbado and Janet Coe co-founded the Menopause Foundation of Canada last year.
We have 10 million women in our country over the age of 40. We're 1/4 of the population, and we make up 1/4 of the workforce. And yet our needs related to menopause have largely been ignored. And that's not acceptable.
The foundation recently released a landmark study. It found women were often blindsided by menopause and the sheer number of symptoms that can come with it.
Most women are aware of hot flashes, period changes, but there's 30+ symptoms of menopause. Things like heart palpitations, urinary tract infection, pain during intercourse, there's low mood, there's anxiety. So there's a whole host of symptoms that If you don't understand that that's part of perimenopause and menopause, you're not able to connect the dots, and you're actually not able to manage your own health.
But even for women who did turn to their family doctors for help, the report found many felt undertreated, their symptoms trivialized.
You have to be really tenacious. You have to believe that you deserve to feel better and that it's not going to pass tomorrow, and that you have to put the energy to go back to your physician, to ask for what you need. At this point, you need to take a lead because the health system is not going to completely support you.
Dr. Wendy Wolfman has spent her career advocating for women's health. She was one of the first in the country to create a menopause clinic at Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto more than 2 decades ago.
How do you feel about the lack of access to care for women?
That's why I'm so passionate about this, and I spent the last 22 years of my life trying to fight that attitude, and it's been such an uphill battle.
Even after all this time, there are few experts like her in Canada. The wait list to see Wolfman is up to 2 years.
2 years. I mean, if an average woman is calling your clinic to try to get some help,
yes,
that's a long time.
Absolutely. So we're trying to improve our numbers. I can't possibly see everybody, but I'm trying to educate as many people as I can, and we're training as many fellows as we can. And I think the idea of what we need to train physicians on has to change. Not every woman gets pregnant, but every woman who lives long enough will become menopausal. We're going to give you a prescription.
Thank you.
That lack of knowledge, Wolfman says, is affecting treatment too. The most effective is hormone therapy, but family doctors can be hesitant to prescribe it, and women are even warned against it, despite updated guidelines, Wolfman says, that point to it being a safe and effective option for many women.
I see these women whose lives are tremendously disrupted, and they say, you know, I'm not going on hormone therapy, I'm going to tough it out. They can't sleep, they can't function at work, and the average time that we know that symptoms last is 7 to 10 years. Years, not months. And if there is therapy that can improve your quality of life, and that doesn't have significant impact on your eventual health, then why wouldn't you seek that help?
But so what advice would you give to women out there then, when they want help and they're not necessarily getting it from their GP?
I think that women need to advocate for themselves. And I think if we're not getting the health care we need to be politically active and speak up.
A lot of exciting things happening tonight, and I thank you so much for coming.
And more women are speaking up and banding together. In a lingerie factory, Montpetit Huyn launched her first hot flashes and high heels event in Toronto a couple of months ago.
I talk all day, every day about menopause.
It was a gathering of menopause champions.
How to undo mansplaining of menopause.
All determined to empower women and rebrand menopause.
I really feel that menopause is an opportunity for women to reconnect and understand that this second stage of life can be their most powerful. They can feel independent and strong and sexy.
Oh my God, that feels so good.
Backstage, Keeney's act is done. She's finally cooling off, but says the menopause movement is just heating up.
If you're open and you have the dialogue, then we can all support each other.
And now more than ever,
This song goes out to everybody in menopause.
that support is openly out there.
So, Ioanna, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but why now? Why has it taken so long for this conversation to come out the way it has?
Well, I think it's resonating now because there are so many women going through it, millions of women in Canada alone. So I think when somebody led the conversation, it just found an incredible audience that was hungry for information, and that's what we encountered as well. People really wanting to have somebody to talk to about this. So there's that piece of it, and the other piece of it is, and some people have called it menopause's Me Too moment, and I think that's what is really getting people fired up because they're tackling the ageism and sexism around the shame and stigma around the topic itself, and that's created real barriers to care and treatment. So it really does hit home for a lot of women, and it really resonates for all those reasons, I think.
So there's your story tonight. We're going to dig more into this tomorrow because we put a call out for questions from viewers. I think we were inundated.
We were. In a couple of days, we got more than 1,000 comments and questions. A lot of confusion around when does menopause start? When do the symptoms begin? When do they end? What can I do to make myself feel better? And there's a lot of questions around treatments about hormone therapy specifically. So these are all the kinds of things that we'll be tackling.
All right. Until tomorrow. Thanks, you.